Session Tyranny of the Shoulds. Hello, welcome to therapy. Let's talk about our rules and obligations today. Now, let's make it a tad dramatic and call today's session the Tyranny of the Shoulds. How often do you catch yourself saying, "Oh, I shouldn't do this. You shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't be doing any of that. Should. It's one of the most widespread patterns that limits our thinking abilities. A person who always owes something to the world and to other people is torn between his or her idealized self and the real self. This for sure affects the way we perceive reality and sours our relations with the world. This short session will help you see the real burdens of the shoulds and will also show you different ways of alleviating their pressure. Are you ready to take a look at your life from a different angle? Let's start then. How often do you use should or must while talking about yourself or the others? If you do so, even in your thoughts, it means that you've already fallen into the shoulds trap. In CBT, this way of thinking is known as a cognitive distortion. What is that? Basically, it's when your brain lies to you and distorts reality. In the moment, we actually believe that we owe this world, and the world owes us. And we tell ourselves, I should do my best. I have to take care of the others. They must have respect for me. Does that sound familiar? Then maybe it's time to let go of these toxic distortions. People with a strong inner critic are the most prone to this kind of thinking. Actually, we might not even realize the critic's impact on our thoughts because we're not fully aware of them. But those critical thoughts cause negative emotions and ongoing stress as a result. Such distortions as the I should do this, I must do that are not the best companions to live with, and we continue to criticize ourselves and disregard our feelings. And what do we get in the end? In most cases, feelings of weakness and inferiority. We think that if we satisfy those shoulds, we'll be good boys and girls and our lives will become better. But that doesn't happen. Most often, we get a completely opposite effect. Instead of appreciation, we feel undermined. Instead of confidence, we feel inferior. What's interesting is that when we break these shoulds and allow ourselves to say, I don't have to do that, we suddenly become consumed by guilt, shame, and anxiety. It works the other way around as well. When other people fail to fulfill their shoulds that we think they owe us, we get annoyed and after take offense. And that's a vicious circle that goes on and on. So where do these shoulds come from? Surprise, mostly from our childhoods. We all had our significant adults in childhood. Those are the people who took care of us, loved us, and attended to our basic needs. Those adults aren't necessarily just our parents. They could be our grandparents, aunts, uncles, social workers. Anyone who is responsible for our care and safety can be considered a significant adult. Well, our first beliefs are deeply rooted in our need for love and care from those significant adults. Try to understand this. We need to adopt their views to be liked by them. Essentially, we do that to survive. If your mother, for instance, doesn't like you, well, that may become a big threat to your existence. So survival-wise, it's much more appropriate to just absorb her beliefs. To receive the approval of our significant adults, we acquire their ways of dealing with emotions, mistakes, and pain. We learn how to work from them, how to react to obstacles, and even how to choose conversation topics. And we do so without applying any filters or personal judgments. The list goes on and on and on. Further on, during adolescence, our peers and the community where we grow up define our views and beliefs. In order to fit into a group or a community, we often succumb to peer pressure and accept the rules of those peers. They help us find the answers to questions like this: how should I behave with the opposite sex? How do I voice my opinion? How should I treat people around me? Even when we become adults, we're still prone to accept the rules of a society just to fit into it. be it an office or a church society, no difference. At this point, it may look like rules aren't that bad at all. So why do they poison our minds? The thing is that when we impose requirements on ourselves and the others, we leave no room for exceptions. We wholeheartedly believe that the entire world lives by the only possible set of rules, our set of rules. Nothing and nobody should stand out. Everything and everyone must follow your set of rules. And when that doesn't happen, we feel frustrated and irritated. Though it's absolutely clear that the world won't bend to fit our expectations and our rules. That's why the shoulds complicate our life a great deal, making us do unnecessary and even detrimental things to our health. For example, we may suppress our emotions because we have an unconscious should that sounds something like this. You should not get angry. That's not what civil people behave as. Or we may deny a thought because only bad people think those kind of thoughts, and hence, I must be a bad person. If we continue to live in an unrealistic world of the shoulds, we lose touch with reality and, most importantly, with ourselves. There's a thin line between healthy values and unhealthy shoulds. Healthy values are both realistic and life-affirming. Healthy values not only allow exceptions, they welcome them. When we follow these values, we're doing what's best for us and the society. Besides, we deliberately accept these values as they're not forced on us by anyone. But unhealthy shoulds are limiting. They are unrealistic. They limit us, they limit our thoughts, our emotions, our lives. They permeate every aspect and do not welcome any variation. The worst is when we fail to follow these shoulds, these rules, we feel stressed, we punish ourselves. That's why following these rules brings more harm than benefit. Let's consider a couple of examples for you to understand the subject better. Is this one familiar to you? I shouldn't make mistakes. Granted, striving for perfection is an honorable endeavor, but answer yourself. How possible is it to satisfy this rule without ever being at least slightly less than perfect? We're all humans and we're wired to make mistakes. Why do so many of us think that we have no right to fail? If we rethink this belief and make it a tad more realistic, it may sound something like this. If I try, I can't become successful, or I won't get anywhere if I dwell on my mistakes. Another should may sound something like this. I shouldn't put myself first. Instead, I need to think about the people close to me. Some of us may consider this should as being highly moral and perhaps even noble. But again, ask yourself, is it really that life-affirming? This rule dictates to forget about our personal needs and sometimes even neglect other people's values. But in fact, in order to maintain our inner balance, we need to take care of ourselves first. Remember how we are told to behave in a case of a plane crash? First, you attend to yourself and then you help the others. This way, we'll stay both physically and mentally healthy. In a more sensible way, this belief may sound like, I need to be in good shape to help others. Otherwise, I won't have the resources to help. Doesn't that sound better and healthier? Now that you know the basics about those nasty shoulds, let's put that theory to practice. We'll need to detect your irrational shoulds, revise them, and transform into healthy values. The exercises attached will help you do that. Good luck and take care of yourself. And see you soon in the next therapy course.